this started. Awesome. Welcome to the Pacific U and Athletics session. Coach Buck, who are you and why are you here?
Well, first off, good evening, everybody, and really appreciate you taking time out of your week. I know many of you have practice, workouts, tests to study for. I really appreciate you taking time to talk with us a little bit tonight about Pacific Athletics. Again, Keith Buckley, I'm the Director of Athletics. I've been in the role for just over 3 years, but have been at Pacific for over 13 years. I was hired in the summer of 2009 to start football at Pacific. Played our first season in 2010, put a trophy in the building in 2014, and did 10 years as the head football coach before making this call it midlife crisis move into administration, and started as managing the day-to-day operations of the athletic department about 8 weeks before the pandemic hit. And so this year is kind of the return to normal. It's been very, very exciting in getting us going forward as an athletic department. Kind of some of the bits and details of the department. We have 24 varsity sports, 5 junior varsity sports, 3 club sports, and about 593 student athletes this year. So it is a rather sizable department, but makes for a great environment on campus. Just everywhere you go, every class you walk into, every meal you sit down at, there's a fellow student athlete with you that is going through the same exciting experience of balancing collegiate athletics and the student experience at Pacific. We are an NCAA Division III institution. NCAA Division III really is the largest division. About 40% of the NCAA is made up by Division III institutions and student athletes, and about 500,000 total student athletes in all 3 levels. So it's really cool to be a part of and be a college student athlete. And we're really excited about where we're headed as a department, where we're going in each of our sports. Tremendous coaching staff. Every single one of our programs is led by a full-time head coach. And that is not true of all Division III institutions, but our school has made a commitment to making it a priority that our student athletes are led by full-time employees of the university. So it's a great environment to be a part of. We'll see some of the facilities that we have and some of the excitement around our program. So again, welcome, and look forward to answering any and all questions that folks might have tonight about Pacific.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach Buck. And I believe my colleague Brent was able to hop in here. So Brent, whenever you're ready, feel free to turn on your video and mic, and I can get you introduced. While he is getting all settled, again, my name is Gina. I'm one of the admissions counselors here. We each kind of have our own territory. My territory is all of our international students as well as U.S. citizens that are living abroad. Previously, I did cover the Southern California area as well as Colorado. So I'm able to answer any of those admissions questions that hop through this channel. And it's very surprising for a lot of our families when they start working with Pacific to see how well the coaches and the admissions team work well together. If you have been contacted by coach, the admissions counselors knows who you are. If you've been admitted, then the coaches know who you are. Our counselors do a very great job in making sure that everybody gets the information that they need. And throughout the application process and the admissions process, it's your admissions counselor from that specific territory. You likely have already received an email from them several times. If not, and you're unsure, you can send it to me in a chat and I can get you the contact information for your admissions counselor. In terms of processes and what the application looks like, around this time is when most of the students have completed their application. If you haven't heard back from your admissions counselor, even though you submitted your Common App, what you could do is reach out to the admissions counselor and ask them like, hey, I submitted my application. Can you let me know what I'm missing? We might be missing an official transcript, a letter of recommendation, if that's something that you would like to send in. So there are a number of things that we would be able to help you and work through with you. Brant, if you are ready, I can have you hop on. If not, Coach Buck, could you talk to us a little bit about the D3 process and how that's different? And the number one question that comes through is athletic scholarships. How do students get athletic scholarships here?
Yeah, the biggest difference between any of the levels as it pertains to Division III really is that there are no athletically related scholarships. So any student athlete is getting the same level of aid that the general student is. And admissions will talk kind of specifically about merit scholarships, those academic scholarships that you can achieve, other scholarships, and then the need-based financial aid process. And all I can say kind of around that is in 13 years, our financial aid office, our admissions counselors, our university as a whole work very, very hard to get as much money to as many people as we can to make it as affordable as possible. And we've had a number of student athletes over the years that they get great financial aid packages. And so while there might not be athletic scholarship money, there is a boatload of money in other places for students that want to pursue Pacific.
Perfect. And I know you touched on scholarships there. So at the admissions side, all of our students who apply, you would be applying through Common App. And all of our students who get their application reviewed and they're admitted, your admissions counselor is actually going to reach out to you and call you directly. I usually got voicemails. Nobody really picked up my phone calls, but we'll say, hey, congratulations, you've been admitted. All of our students who apply are actually eligible for a merit scholarship. And I think almost everyone has received one. And the merit scholarship ranges anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 per year. What you get, you hold on to for the next 4 years. So if you got that $30,000 scholarship, that is $30,000 for the next 4 years each year. So it equals to $120,000, which is pretty great. We don't take that away from you. We don't require that you maintain your GPA from high school. We know you've already worked really hard. We're not going to take that away from you. If you did what I did and went to the first college exam, not realizing you studied the wrong chapters. So we just ask that you are a full-time student, which is a minimum 12 credits. Typically, students will be around the 14 to 16 credit average, and then you be in good academic standing. And to be in a good academic standing, we do ask that you maintain a minimum of a 2.0 GPA, but that is it. You don't need to submit any other paperwork each year. The only paperwork that you would submit is updating the FAFSA application. That is something that everybody has to do every year. If it was your first time submitting the FAFSA this year, I know it was probably one of those, can you find that document from 2 years ago? What information that you need? All of those detailed information gets saved. And so continuously after that, your FAFSA application should only take you about 10 to 20 minutes to update the information. So it won't take you as long as it did the first time around. So that's a little bit about the scholarships that we offer. And we have Brant here. Thank you so much. I know Brant was zipping on his way home from the office. So I appreciate you hopping in here, Brant. Can you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what territory you have?
Awesome. Thank you, Gina Lee. It's great to see you. It's great to see all the names. I recognize a lot of the names on the list, so I'm excited to be here tonight. Yeah, I just got home from the office. It's been fun. So I am the admissions counselor for Southern California, the Sacramento area, and then all of Eastern Washington. So I have been at the university now 5 years, coaching basketball, and now transitioning from just recruiting basketball players to recruiting all students and working with all different athletes to non-athletes. And so that's kind of my role has been now Southern California. So I'm working with a lot of the students down there, also Sacramento, and the areas around Sacramento, and then Eastern Washington. So I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you are from that area, feel free to drop a message. And if I have not connected, you've probably seen emails from me, and a lot of you were able to join because of that, but hopefully we can connect. Thanks, Gina Lee.
Thank you so much, Brad. We appreciate you hopping in here this evening. And so again, throughout the session, if you have any questions for Coach Buck or Brant here, feel free to go ahead and enter it in the chat box. I will hold on to the questions until the very end, and I'll ask as they come in the order in which they were received. If you're feeling a little shy, you can send it to me directly as a private message, and I'll make sure to read those questions aloud anonymously. And since we have a fairly large number of questions that came in, I might just go ahead and hop straight into a tour of Stoller Center. And Coach Buck is going to talk a little bit about what we're looking at and explain some of the different facilities that we have. And then we'll go ahead and elaborate a little bit more and then go on to the Q&A. So, Coach, I'm going to hand this over to you here.
All right. Thank you all. This is the Stoller Center that houses athletics, as well as our intramural and recreation programs. We're seeing the fitness center here that is open to all students. We do have another facility for our athletes. This is our Hall of Fame area here.
Sorry, I thought I had this on slower than normal, but I think it's going back quicker.
Yeah, there you go. Go to 0.25. That'll slow it down for us.
I'm gonna try this one more time. Let's try this one more time. My apologies, everybody.
I have a speed race in there, so.
All right, this should be good.
Yeah, again, this is our athletic center. This has all of our coaches' offices, as well as some offices and labs for our kinesiology department. So for those of you that are looking at that kinesiology, pre-physical therapy, you'll actually spend a lot of time academically down here as well. This is our fitness center that has both cardio and weight room facilities. Some of our athletes will use this. Others will use the box, as we call it, which is our athletic weight room, which is over in the field house that we'll see here in a few minutes. There are classes available in the fitness center as well for strength and conditioning and training for that. So great facility. It is quite lively in the evenings as folks are coming in and getting that workout after a day of classes. We did upgrade the racks and platforms just this fall. And so these are not the new ones. They're nice red and black and branded with Boxer logos, and just nice to have new equipment in the facility. I think next that's coming up is our Hall of Fame area, which is kind of a central gathering area in the department. We have a long history at Pacific of some athletic excellence, some national champions in wrestling, a number of conference championships, and it's nice to be able to honor some of those successes. This is the Stoller Gymnasium. There are 3 full courts in here. This center court is our game competition. Bleachers come out. The background that I have on my screen right now is from a basketball game. We get great support and just resurfaced last year as well. So the floor is in perfect condition. This is for those that aren't from Oregon. We do get a little bit of rain every once in a while up here during the winter. And this field house is a 55-yard field turf facility that allows us to train indoors, all sports. It is used morning, noon, and night at this time of year for baseball, softball, soccer, football. All of it is just tremendous facility. We're the only Division III institution west of the Mississippi that has an indoor field house like this. Up above there is a second batting cage that's elevated for baseball and softball. And then underneath that is our second kind of facility called the box, which really is just racks and platforms for kind of more Olympic power style lifting for our team. So we have a couple different facilities. We do bring all the plyo equipment out into the field house and train out there as well. This is our athletic rehab room. So we have 2 spaces. One's a rehab room, one's an athletic training room. We have 5 full-time athletic trainers in the department, a team physician, a team orthopedic surgeon, a team sports psychologist, team chiropractor. And so we are as well taken care of at this level as I was leaving some scholarship level institutions. You as a student athlete are very, very well taken care of should you get injured at any point during your career. As we step out of Stoller Center, Hanson Stadium is right next door, which is home to football, men's and women's soccer, lacrosse, and our track and field programs. Brand new field turf as of 2 years ago, Ledbetter Field. We have a 9-lane track. I know we have some track folks on here today. It is a tremendous, tremendous track facility. It is a large soccer field, about as large as is allowed at the NCAA level for our soccer folks that are on. And then football plays there as well. We have a grass practice field, as you can see, beyond the fencing there as well. So we have multiple facilities, full HD video board in the stadium, as well as HD live stream of our contests for those that can't make the events. Chuck Bufaro Stadium is our baseball facility. Our baseball team has won back-to-back conference championships, made 2 NCAA tournament appearances the last couple years. We have a field turf infield and a grass outfield. Just allows us to get out on the field a little bit earlier for practice prior to games starting, having that turf infield. Sherman Larkin Stadium is our softball facility. Just the opposite for us here. We have just this fall field turf to the outfield. And all dirt infield, and we tarp the infield during the wet season. So didn't turf that, but now that the outfield's turfed, we can get outside much earlier as well. There is a batting cage outside of the right field fence. So tremendous facilities. In my 13 years that I've been at Pacific, we've spent over $2 million in upgrades and are nowhere near done with some of our plans. With some of our aspirations for updating and continuing to provide a tremendous experience in the facilities that we have. A couple of facilities that we didn't see on the tour that we have just across the street is our swimming pool for our swimming team. We have a tennis facility that has 3 indoor courts, 3 outdoor courts. And then our golf program plays out at Coyle Valley, which is about an 8 or 9 minute drive from campus as our home course. And then furthermore, we do have a rowing program in our athletic department, and Hag Lake is about a 15-minute drive from campus, and our boathouse is out there and dock right on the water, which is a really, really cool thing to go out and see and watch and be a part of. So great facilities for all our sports, and by no means feel that we're done in improving those as we move forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So hopefully people got to see some of the details of some of our facilities here. I'm going to go ahead and ask if Brent can hop back in here, and then we can start on the Q&As. And again, if you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to enter it in the chat box. You can send it so everybody could read it, or send it to me privately, and I'll ensure that the questions get asked anonymously. But with that said, we have a list of questions that we're just going to kind of power through, and I know that's going to pique some interest here. So how does a student get looked at for sports at the school? This student is particularly interested in golf and soccer, but I think it's a great general question. If the student is interested in playing and coming to Pacific, what would be the first steps on getting in contact with the coach and getting the application? So I guess it's a 2-part question, and I'll ask both Brent and Coach Buck to answer this.
Yeah, I think kind of the first, and if I'm going to have a general theme tonight, regardless of what sport you might be interested in, it is imperative that you communicate directly with the coach in that sport. Each sport has a different process for recruitment, and that really is based on roster spots and the availability of roster spots in each class that we recruit. And some are very finite in their numbers, and some have kind of a more open roster approach and can carry extra student athletes. So if as we are in January and applications are kind of rolling in, if you have not touched base with a coach yet, you need to do that here very, very quickly. And some coaches, if you have huddle highlights or portfolios of kind of your stats, that is great to send with it. If you play for a club, give the coach club contact information and coach contact information so that they can kind of take a peek. And as a golfer, sending kind of your scores, your averages in are a great first step, because that will frame how a coach will respond in the opportunities that may be available to you. For those of you that are in kind of more traditional recruiting worlds, baseball, softball, football, basketball, volleyballs, where club or the recruiting process is fairly clear to your high school or club coaches, they can certainly help you facilitate getting that information to a coach. If you've reached out to a coach and they maybe haven't got back to you, out for the holidays a little bit, or on the road recruiting, or our winter sports that are in season, there may be a slight delay in getting back to you as they're in the midst of their seasons. But use your admissions counselors too, and say, hey, I haven't been able to actually connect with the coach, and Brant and Gina and the admission staff is awesome with working with our coaches to try and help facilitate that. The relationship is out of this world between our coaches and the admission staff. So it is unbelievable. I did, as I was talking, see a question pop up about archery and bowling. We do not have varsity or club sports in those at the moment. We do have free bowling every Wednesday night in town that the school pays for. And you at any point can show up and go through the process of starting your own club. And if you can find a handful of folks that are interested in it, want to start a competitive club, you can get some funding through the Student Senate to help facilitate that, and start a campus club. And over time, figure out where that goes from there. But there is those opportunities. Archery, I'm really sorry. I don't even think we have a class in archery. So that's not something that we necessarily have. I am sure the Portland metro area has over 1 million people, that there is an archery club somewhere near campus, somewhere in the Hillsborough Beaverton area that you may be able to be a part of and go compete.
Yes, we actually went as a office bonding to an archery warehouse area, and it's actually right off the exit to get onto Pacific. So it's like a 10-minute drive to campus. So we have it available off campus. And it is very rare that we say that we don't have any form of a specific sport available. This is probably the first time I heard it in years. So we apologize that we don't have archery on campus. Brant, can you talk a little bit about when should the application start? Should they wait to hear back from a coach before they submit their application? What would be the first order of steps?
Soon as possible. We've already passed our second priority deadline. So as soon as you can get those applications in, the better. That gives us a chance to review them, usually a couple weeks, and you'll hear back from your admissions counselor on the admissions or the admit process. So, but definitely reach out to your counselor if you do have questions or you haven't heard from coaches. I think that's something that coach said that I want to reiterate, is the importance of working with your counselors, whatever territory you're in, to get their videos in front of the coaches. And then obviously we can't make shots for you or run fast, but we can get you in touch with the coaches for sure if you're communicating with us. But as soon as you can get the Common App, it's free to apply. And all it takes is the transcript sent from your high school and the common application, and we can get back to you with that process. So I think the sooner the better is what I would say, Gina Lee.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we're getting lots of great questions. And please note that I am taking notes on these, and we will go ahead and ask them in the order they were received. The next question is, are there team study halls? And the one question that comes after that is, what help is provided to athletes to excel in academics? So academically, how are the students supported on campus as a student athlete?
Yeah, I think it depends program by program. I will say I just got the fall semester academic report for the athletic department. We were well over a 3.0 as a department. Every single team in the department had a team GPA above a 3.0. And that's the first time that we've pulled that off since I've taken over as athletic director. And so that's really exciting. It means we are recruiting and supporting student athletes to be academically successful while they were here. I had one team that I think was a 3.8 GPA. And so we've got some really strong students, but also a ton of support for those that need a little bit of it. I know basketball, football, baseball, a number of them do study hall in the off season. We have class, which is the Center for Learning, which has our tutors and that are student-led tutors, and they are tremendous. If you're a great student, we want to hire you as a tutor to help. It's a great paid job on campus. And then I actually, in the fall, I've taught a student success course for student athletes that really is a guest lecture based class, and all the support that's there. The Office of Accessibility and Accommodation, academic coaching, the Academic Advising Center, the Tutoring Center. There is just a plethora of support mechanisms for everybody on campus to get the academic support they need. A lot of that will come through what is called the CARE report, which is a central hub to get information to faculty, student services, athletics, sports medicine, all of that for any needs that students might have. And ultimately, that's having been at large schools prior to Pacific, that's the difference. That is the why that you go to a small school, is there's this army of people on campus here to help you succeed, to support you through your path, and get you where you want to go in life.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Brand, did you have something to add on to that, or I saw your finger moving? Maybe. No.
Finger was just pointing. No. You can ask another question.
Okay, sounds good. Yes, and all students also have an academic advisor, and that academic advisor is usually a faculty of the department that the student is majoring in, and they work fairly closely together with the student to ensure their success as well. So you have a lot of different people helping the student try and succeed at Pacific. So the next question is, if an athlete was on your recruit list but didn't get signed on, is it possible for that athlete to be a walk-on or a red shirt? This is specifically for men's baseball, but I know we have several team sports here as well.
Yeah. And the first answer to that is, want to be very clear at the Division III level. Currently, there is no redshirting. You have 10 semesters to play 4 years. If you practice and are on the roster, you use that year of eligibility. So there really isn't a pathway to redshirt other than a medical redshirt should you get injured, and there's some stipulations with that. But just wanted to kind of clarify that piece, because you do hear about at the Division I, Division II level of individuals showing up and sitting for a year before playing. The reality is Pacific wants you to graduate in 4 years. And we want you to compete for 4 years. So there are a number of different avenues in different sports in terms of kind of primary recruitment is offered roster spot. And then there are tryouts or walk-on kind of opportunities, as they call them, sport by sport. And so again, communicating directly with the coach and the program you're interested in to identify what their process is. Some do it in the fall, some do those tryouts in the spring of your freshman year. If their rosters are full, take, maybe soccer can only carry so many, but they may allow a walk-on to try out during their spring practices to try and make the roster for the following year. But again, that all is dependent on a sport by sport and individual by individual basis. There are times where coaches will get information, get highlights, get evaluations done, and maybe add a roster spot if they can. So it really is different. I will say, if you're a swimmer, a track athlete, a wrestler, a lacrosse player, there are a ton of roster opportunities available in those sports. And so I'd feel pretty good about that. Now, we do have junior varsity opportunities in baseball, softball, men's and women's basketball, and volleyball. And so those 5 programs do carry kind of extended rosters and have JV competitions and JV practices and JV coaches. So those 5 sports may have a little bit different recruiting process as well, based on a varsity roster invite or a JV roster invite, based on the evaluation process. But they aren't separate. Teams don't practice completely separate. It is a single basketball program, a single baseball program, a single softball program, but we're able to sponsor 2 different teams to get as much competition in as possible.
Perfect. And for students who want to visit before they make their final decision, and Brent, maybe you can touch a little bit about planning a visit to campus and getting in touch with coaches. And I know we have a senior preview day event. If you want to talk a little bit about that as well, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Senior preview days, 3 hours in the morning on Fridays throughout the spring, or I think February and March. It's $4,000, $1,000 a year scholarship. Gina Lee, thanks for putting that. There's a link in there. And then scheduling, we have a tour and visit coordinator, Gracie Smith, who on our page, you'll be able to see plan a visit. Click right there, and then you can set up a time and reach out to your admissions counselor, follow up with the coaches. But Gracie Smith's a great contact for getting that set up. And was there a second part of that question?
No, that was it. That was perfect. So come on an event day if you can. And we do take a note of the sport that you are interested in, and we will go ahead and reach out to the coaches on our end to see if they can meet with you afterwards if you would like to. If you want to come on a regular daily visit, on the additional questions or your interests, there is a little field box for you to enter in your extracurricular activities. Go ahead and enter in what sport you'd like and that you'd like to meet with the coach. Then our visit inter coordinator will go ahead and answer all those, get all that set up for you. So definitely visit if you can. We are open all year. We don't really close. So the next question that came in is, can you play 2 sports in a year, and will coaches be mad at you if you are? It sounds like this is specifically for baseball and football, but I do know we have a lot of dual sport athletes as well.
Yeah. The dual sport athlete is completely supported at Pacific. Philosophically, you do need to have conversations with both coaches to make sure that kind of they are in concert with kind of how that works. It is much easier for fall and spring sport 2 sport athletes. It is much more difficult if you are a winter sport athlete. So if you are basketball, swimming, or wrestling and want to bookend either a fall sport or a spring sport with that gets significantly harder. Fall sports end mid-November. And those winter sports start October 15th. So you do miss an initial month of the season with the winter sports. And then on the flip side, if you're trying to be a spring sport athlete coming out of winter sports, spring sports tend to end early March. and our spring sports are practicing right now. So it is really hard for those. But we have a number of multi-sport athletes. We had a freshman women's soccer player that took a little bit of time to get going, but joined the wrestling team in the winter, and she won women's tournament this past weekend. So she got herself up and back, but she had to skip a couple tournaments before the new year, just because she wasn't quite back into wrestling shape coming off of the soccer field. So it takes collaboration between the coaches and some extra work on an individual's part. But we're more than happy to accommodate that if it works out.
Perfect. And I'm going to cut the line on some of these questions because this next one actually plays in perfectly. Are student athletes allowed to study abroad and travel to different places? And if a student plays a fall sport, do they have the spring semester to go ahead and do the study abroad? Or how do student athletes get to take advantage of that?
Yeah, there's kind of two processes that you can use to kind of get abroad. Doing a full semester. If you're a winter sport athlete, it's almost impossible. If you're a fall or spring sport, you can go in the off season. You will miss the non-traditional season. So spring practice, if you're a fall sport, or fall ball, if you're a spring sport athlete. So there is some part that you have to give up. I don't think coaches have a problem with that. Studying abroad is a really positive experience and something that if anybody can do, they ought to try and find a way to do it. But a lot of athletes at Pacific do the mini abroad programs, which oftentimes happen in May or during January, where you go for 2 or 3 weeks to a location. I know last spring there was a class that our faculty athletic rep taught in Spain. That was 3 weeks in Spain, and you take a class during the spring to kind of learn about the place you're going to, and then you physically head out there for 3 weeks. There's surfing. They call it environmental science, but I think it's a surfing class in Costa Rica in May, early June as well. And so a lot of our athletes tend to take advantage of those opportunities versus the full semester abroad.
Perfect. Yeah, you got to learn muscle movement. They're windsurfing in Costa Rica. That's the best way to learn, right? So,
I'm trying to be a chaperone for the Food and Wine of France tour.
I think everyone's trying to be a chaperone for that one. You're literally eating your way through France. Awesome. This next question I have here is, if you don't make the team, can you elaborate a little bit on the club sports that we have on campus?
Yeah, it's a pretty limited intercollegiate club program. We have handball, which is an incredibly successful program. We have multiple national club championships for our handball program. So that's kind of one that's rather sizable, and a lot of people get interested in. Most that show up at Pacific have never played handball, learn it through a class, and fall in love with it and want to start competing. We have men's rugby as well as a club. And then our spirit squad is a club, and they will go to a competition or two as well. And then aside from that, we have a ton of intramural programming during the course of the year. So basketball, flag football, spike ball, cornhole. It just runs the gamut of opportunities to get together with a group of your dorm mates and go out and compete. There's both co-ed and single sex intramurals and recreation. So they do a great job on campus of keeping you connected and moving and having some fun too.
Perfect. And if you want even a lighter load, we do have recess that is offered as a credit course here on campus. I can't remember the last time I went up to recess. Brant, can you talk a little bit about the campus dorms? Are they far from our Stoller Center? How far apart and how big is our campus for these students?
Stoller Center is right across the street from our upperclassmen housing. The freshmen, where you're going to stay as a freshman or sophomore, are a little, probably a 4 to 5 minute, depending on how quick you are, walk from the Stoller Center, where we were able to see on that tour the gym and the field house. A little bit further to the baseball field and softball fields, but it's all relatively close. I would recommend freshmen not even having a car. Lots of times they just sit parked. It's $50 a year to park, but most of the time people are just having their cars sit.
Definitely. And this is the common question that I've been getting based on the sport. For example, this is pertaining to women's soccer. When do players report to campus? I know we have a couple of sports that do report a little bit earlier than the typical orientation timeline that we have. Coach Buck, can you touch base on what sport is here early and how that works?
Yeah, football is the first sport that gets here, and that's typically August 10th to 12th. Somewhere in that range, and classes usually start about August 28th. Freshman orientation will start 24th, 25th in that area. I don't have the exact dates in front of me. So you're typically here as a football player almost 2 weeks before the rest of the student body shows up. Soccer, volleyball, and cross country kind of come in together. Typically the 18th, 19th, so you're here 5 or 6 days before orientation, 7-8 days before classes start. So do come early. We provide meals. You do not pay extra for housing coming early, anything like that. So it's just coming, and really for fall sports, an awesome opportunity to get integrated into your team, get to know everybody, build kind of your network, your tribe, so to speak, before orientation comes and classes start. So really, really beneficial for fall sports. Everybody else, winter and spring sport wise, show up for orientation with the rest of the general student population, and will start their fall practices within the first few weeks of arriving on campus.
Perfect. And then this question, I believe it's pertaining to the diversity on campus. The question is phrased, does your university accept African students? And I believe they are, the accept was capitalized. So I don't know if it was an acronym for a specific type of scholarship, or if they really want to know what the diversity is like on campus. So could either of you touch on that for us here?
Yeah, I guess maybe the question is this an international student?
I don't think so. It looks like
Okay.
the student is interested in, I believe it was women's soccer.
Okay. Well, I think the easiest thing for me to say is more than half of our student athlete population is students of color. We have a tremendous equity, diversity, and inclusion office on campus, a multicultural center, physical space. And as a Division III institution, we're one of the few institutions that has an athletics diversity and inclusion designee, which is an NCAA encouraged appointment. Dr. Mark Williams, who is in the College of Business, is very kind of sports centric and very engaged with our student athletes. So by no means do we feel like we have arrived in any shape or form in terms of our learning, our understanding, and our development in the EDI space. We actually have an all athlete meeting coming up on the 28th of this month that will be EDI and belonging based. So we are constantly working to improve ourselves in that space. Had our entire department staff, coaches, everybody do a return on inclusion training last year. That was a platform for athletic coaches and administrators, for athletic coaches and administrators. It was just a fantastic opportunity for us to build a foundation with which we've moved forward and continue to strive to support, encourage, and understand every type of person we have on campus.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We are a minority majority on campus, so we are very happy to say that it is a fairly diverse campus. For students who are going to be off season, what does the workout and training look like? It looks like the student is interested in football, but I think it is a good question for all students.
Yeah, we have 7 assigned strength and conditioning coaches in the department. They're all coaches that coach a sport, but then have their auxiliary duty tied to strength and conditioning with various sports. We have 3 of them that are CSCS certified, 3 USA weightlifting certifications. And so there's a lot of opportunity to get off-season training. There is an expectation. I got to be very clear. This is competitive collegiate athletics. And so there is an expectation that even this summer coming up, that you're going to spend time preparing as an incoming freshman to compete. And that means getting your workouts in, getting your training in. And then once you're an athlete on campus, of continuing to train, continuing to better yourself and help your team get better. So we use a platform called Team Builder, which is a phone-based app that all of your workouts get put in. It has training videos for certain movements that maybe you aren't proficient in, but there will also be coaches present at times in those weight rooms and in facilities to train in the off season.
Perfect. Thank you. And Brant, I have a question for you, and this is a hot question that we've been getting tonight. If you submitted their FAFSA and listed Pacific on the school list, how do we know if Pacific received it? And when are the financial aid letters coming out?
Financial aid, the final financial aid packages come out end of February, middle to end of February. You need to make sure that the students have their social security numbers on file, so that way they're processed. So I would say sooner the better on that, getting the social security numbers, and then the FAFSA comes out, or the final financial aid packages come out middle to end of February.
Perfect. Yeah, your financial aid letter should be coming out to you guys very soon. Everyone's going to get an actual packet in the mail, but you also have access to it via your online portal. If I know this is a problem that a lot of students have been running into, if you've applied to more than 10 schools and maybe you ran out of schools that you can add onto the FAFSA, if you've already received the financial aid offer from another school, you can go ahead and take them off your FAFSA application and add whichever school you'd like. If you want to add Pacific, that way we can get your contact information. And so financial aid letters should be coming out around mid-February. Keep your eyes open on those emails and your mailboxes, because they will be sent to you. It looks like this student is looking for kind of an understanding of what the regular basketball practices look like. So I'm actually going to toss this to Brant, since you used to be a basketball coach here.
Absolutely. So in the off season, like Coach Buckley was saying, there's a lot of expectations of putting in work on your own, since players are only able, or coaches are only able to work with players during the season, which is one of the great things about Division III, is you're able to do other things outside of just your sport. But within that, like Coach Buckley said, it's competitive athletics. So competing and putting in time is important. During the season, classes, you're going to have probably 12 to 15 hours of class a week. So that's 2 to 3 hours a day. Most practices are 2 hours. So the teams are spending 2 hours in the gym, and then study halls. Like Coach Buckley said, football, baseball. I know for basketball, it was 9 hours a week for incoming students. That was Tuesday night, 6 to 9, Thursday night, 6 to 9, and then Sundays, 3 hours. We were a little more flexible on the time on Sundays, but they're doing 9 hours of study hall a week. And so it is a busy schedule. So I would say time management is essential for anybody that's looking at playing in college, anywhere, any level. If you're not able to manage your time, it's going to be tough. So I think that's a lesson I just want to make sure that the students here is try to learn it now. So if you play a lot of 2K or Fortnite or video games, make sure you're limiting that and get ready to focus.
Definitely. The number one advice that a lot of students, all of our current students, give to the incoming students is to learn time management. It will be your biggest enemy if you go to college and you don't have that set. I do know we are kind of close to that 7 o'clock hour mark. We have about 10 more questions left, so we're just going to zip through this if this is all right with everybody. Cross country and track and field, are overnight stays available?
Overnight stays for visits.
Yes, official visits.
Again, reach out to Coach Hunter Sims, Coach Krings, Coach Beeler. They will likely have specific recruiting weekends that they are trying to get folks to come. But yeah, we do allow overnight visits for recruits. There's a form that individuals fill out to do that. But it is certainly part of the process. And again, I encourage everybody to come and put boots on the ground if you can, see campus, meet with coaches, get a chance to try and see some of the team, meet with an admissions counselor. I think you'll find it very, very favorable to you.
Yes, and I guess it's good to mention we have an athletic website. I apologize for not sharing that at the very beginning of this session. I did put it in the chat as www.goboxers.com, and that'll take you straight to our athletic page. And there you can find the contact information for all of our coaches, so you can reach out for those official visits. Cross country and track, do we have a JV version of that?
No. Track's an open roster. So there really isn't a delineation between varsity and JV track. Anybody can really participate in track. We encourage the numbers. Cross country is fairly open. Everybody may not go on all the trips competitively, but in terms of being a part of it and running with the team, absolutely.
Perfect. And if travel is required, is the cost covered by the school?
Yes, we cover flight, hotel, bus, all of it. The per diem when you're on the road is fairly nominal, so you're not going to eat fantastic on our dime. You may be having to subsidize that a little bit, but for the most part, we are covering uniforms, necessary equipment, travel, all of it.
Perfect. And Brant, this is more of an admissions questions, but I believe I might be able to help answer this as well. For students who are transferring into Pacific, so they're going to JUCO for 2 years, what would be the process for that? And I can answer that. I actually work with transfer students as well too. So sorry, Brant, I'm going to take it back. But for students who are transfer students, we actually have a large number of transfer students that come in every year. So you're not going to be the 1 or 2 kind of anomaly on campus that just kind of came out of nowhere and all of a sudden you're on your 3rd year. About a quarter of our students every semester are transfer students. And we actually have a transfer application. You can just go to our website, www.pacificu.edu/transfer, and it will take you straight to the application page. And it'll give you a list of items that is required. We will require all official college and university transcripts along with the application, and that'll get you started in terms of getting you over to Pacific as a transfer student. So another student asked about clubs and organizations, and it was a little bit outside of what we're going through, but I did put in a link there. So if you want to take a look at the different clubs and organizations that we offer on campus, like Coach said, if there's something on there that you don't see, but you want to start, like an archery club, you absolutely can. You just need to have 1 faculty member to help sign off and a couple of students to kind of sign and say, hey, yes, we'd like to have this club. And you'll get funding for all of this for your club and to have it started. So the next question is, do you know financial aid packages? Sorry, we talked about early move-in day for fall athletes. Oh, are new students required to dorm for the 1st and 2nd year? And can maybe either of you touch a little base about student athletic housing?
Yeah, so the institution has a 2-year requirement to live on campus, so you will live on your freshman and sophomore year. Typically sport by sport, we do help facilitate roommate pairings. You will be in just general dorms. There is not a specific athletic building, but given the size of our athletic population on campus, just about every other room will be housed with an athlete in it. So it is very easy to be around other athletes in the dorms, but typically most sports will try to identify a fellow incoming athlete in your sport and get you paired up so that you're living kind of the same life, the same schedule. If you've got morning or night practices, that you don't have a roommate that's living an opposite lifestyle, creating some of that conflict. So, those that that know they got to get their sleep, got to eat right, got to have a positive kind of lifestyle approach to being a competitive student athlete. That pairing is really beneficial.
Perfect. And Brent, the follow-up question that came with that is, how do they choose the residence hall, and what do they need to do to get that started?
May 1st, after the May 1st deadline, housing will be sending out information about that. Housing, there's the 3 freshman residence halls, and those it's randomly selected through Residence Life, I believe. And Gina, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but they'll be partnered up and then assigned to the room. And then as you're moving on as an upperclassman, it's determined by the number of credits that one of the roommates has to the priority on who gets to register or who gets to pick what rooms.
Yes. So if you're smart as a freshman, you make friends with a sophomore who's going to be a junior the following year, you might be able to get into some of the apartment style housing a little bit sooner than others. That's a little trick that I usually tell my students. But yes, thank you so much. And a question that I got kind of behind the scenes was, will a dorm room be available for viewing during campus tours? And we do have our freshman housing. We have one room set aside. It's our Walter showroom. And it is the very, very basic freshman housing. So we're not going to show you this wonderful senior suite and ta-da, you can live here 4 years later. We are actually going to show you our freshman dorm housing, and then you guys get to see the inside of it. And I do know somebody had asked about the Pacific U and athletic session from fall, and we actually also have that video posted, and I put that link in there, and then you guys can watch the previous session. But this session, as it is being recorded, I will upload it onto our YouTube channel and send out an email to everybody tomorrow with the link, so you are able to view it and go through it a little bit slower and get all of your questions answered. So it looks like I got one more question here. When you apply for the early decision, when can you expect an admission decision and merit and financial aid package? If you apply for early decision, you should have already heard. If you did not, it might mean that we are missing an application piece, like a transcript. I would definitely reach out to your admissions counselor directly and let them know and say, hey, I submitted it back in October, if that's when you submitted it. I haven't heard back. Can you please let me know? Oh, it looks like the student is a junior. Okay, if you are a junior, applications actually are not going to open up until end of August or beginning of September of this year. So you are set. You don't need to submit an application yet. Common App actually will not allow you to submit it, but I believe you can get started on it if you want to right now. But honestly, no need. You're going to have to kind of stress about it during senior year. Don't put too much on yourself. Enjoy the junior year that you can. I know this is the first year for many of our students to kind of be back to the norm. And so enjoy that. You have some time before you need to start stressing about the application process. So hopefully that helped answer questions. And again, you are able to view the session from the previous session. And I'm going to put one more link here, and all of these links, I will add it into the email that we're going to send, but that's a playlist of all of the interior shots of our campus. I know some people were wanting to see what the inside looked like. You can actually see some of the inside of our residence halls that we don't typically have access to during the school year because students are living there as well too. So reimbursements, we don't have reimbursements for official visits. I would just reach out to the coach directly and ask them about kind of how to get an official visit started and what is required to get you there. So if you want to hang back, I can definitely get you in contact with the coaches. But otherwise, I believe those were all the questions that we received. And I apologize, I just kind of zipped through the last 15 minutes of it, but I wanted to make sure that we were conscious of everybody's time tonight and still get to answer all the questions that we have here. So Coach Buck and Brad, thank you so much for hopping in this evening. I know you guys all have family commitments and stuff, but this shows you a little bit about what the Pacific community is. We are all part of the Boxer Ohana, which is our unofficial motto here. You're part of the Boxer family, and coaches and admissions counselors are going to be here to help you. So thank you so much for hopping in today. If you have a couple more questions, feel free to hang back if you would like to. I'll be here to answer questions. Otherwise, Brent and Keith, I'm actually going to let you guys go early. Just leave. I'll be here to take care of everything. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on campus soon, hopefully.
Thank you all. Go Boxers.
Go Boxers.
Thank you.